Hi, this is Richard Weylman, Chairman of Weylman Consulting Group. With all the challenges facing the financial industry and every advisor, we knew from our experience the very best way to overcome them was to go directly to the consumer for their perspective and guidance. After all, their perspective is the one that matters most. The industry and its advisors face challenges with DOL regs, robo-advisors, difficulty reaching quality prospects, fee and price pressure. And we all know these are core challenges that restrict growth. So working in partnership with over 70 of our coaching and consulting clients, they conducted 350 face-to-face interviews of their best clients as part of our work with them to grow their revenue. The findings from these 350 financially successful consumers represent all three sectors of the industry: advisory, insurance, and banking, all geographic regions of the United States, clients from their mid-20s to mid-60s with assets and holdings ranging from $250,000 to north of $10 million. The comprehensive interview process focused on four key questions. How can advisors obtain more clients like you? What do you initially look for when deciding whether to engage with an advisor? How can advisors improve the way they communicate the value of their advice? And fourth, how can advisors improve client retention? Here are the findings in strategic format so that you can execute. Question number one, how can advisors obtain more clients like you? It's significant to note interviewees said mass marketing is offensive. Advisors don't know us and have no idea what we want. Not surprisingly, based on that comment, 87% of people interviewed belong to an organization or network that supports what they do for a living or other interests, and 71% of those interviewed said they want to work with an advisor in their network, which clearly illustrates an essential strategy for growth is focus your marketing on specific groups of people and their networks. Our experience guiding advisors into specific target or vertical markets has delivered on average 30% more growth than their peers within the same firm. Now, the second series of questions that were asked were designed to clearly understand what you initially look for when deciding whether to engage with an advisor. Not surprisingly, interviewees' comments confirm what most of us already know. Selecting an advisor, even with a recommendation, is increasingly difficult because there are no points of differentiation. Overwhelmingly, interviews said they look for what the advisor has accomplished for their existing clients. That's what prompts them to engage. Unfortunately, they felt most advisors attempt to engage by expressing what they do, how they do it, or their talent and expertise. So these findings illustrate the importance of strategy 2. Be sure your value promise or proposition, as some of you call it, succinctly states what your work helps people achieve. Moving on to question number 3, how can advisors improve the way they communicate the value of their advice? This question is significant given the challenges of DOL in increasing fee and price pressures. Those interviewed had no ambiguity in their response to this question. They said clearly, we want to know how this information will solve my problem. And further, they expressed recommendations provided without clear application are confusing and consequently ignored. When asked, how do you suggest recommendations be presented? They said they want advisors to state a recommendation and then clarify application by saying specifically what this will do for you is. Then state, and the real benefit to you is. This clarifies application because they understand what it will do for them and how they will benefit. So by doing this, the clear value of your recommendation is understood. So given the current environment, it is critical then to execute strategy 3, increase value and reduce cost and fee pressure by explaining the full value of each recommendation. Our fourth question and final category was, how can advisors improve client retention? When prompted to express how important good service was to the value of the relationship, the majority of those interviewed were adamant that providing good service is not an addition to value. It is a minimum requirement. Upon further analysis, we found a core part of their perception of real and perceived value is the entire experience they have with an advisor. We arrived at these findings for two reasons. First, they don't want to be taken for granted, they don't want to be referred to as an account, and they don't want to be just part of the client base. Second, they do want personalized attention. They do want to be remembered. They do want an elevated end-to-end, if you will, elevated experience, and they want to build a portfolio of great memories with their advisor. So it's very clear from these findings that providing an elevated experience is a clear point of distinction from all the other options they have. In addition, delivering consistently elevated experiences create emotional engagement, stronger relationships, and improved client retention, which of course leads to increased revenue. Consequently, by executing strategy 4, you will increase your value by delivering an elevated client experience at every interaction, not just by giving better service.